Ka-Ching, Ka-Ching. It's all about the changeover. The geniuses have worked it out. Stay tuned because we've got a cracking topic for you this morning. I've got to roll the intro. I can't find the intro. All right. Money.
It's the biggest conversation we're having in real estate throughout our whole office. It's going nuts. It's a violent change in the property market. It's busy. It's quiet. It's hot. It's cold. It's everything at the moment. And the one common thing that everyone is talking about, all our sales reps, it's all about the changeover. So yes, you've got to buy. Yes, you've got to sell. And yes, you've got to finance it, but it's the changeover that has changed.
And it's changed for better, and people haven't even realized, apart from the geniuses that are telling people the way, showing people the way.
It's high level. You know what? You normally don't work out the changeover until you've completed the transaction. You've bought the property, you've sold the property, you've financed the property, you look at the mortgage and you go, okay, that's my mortgage. Okay, that's my payments. But it's changed.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, actually. Until the numbers are, coming out of your bank account each month, then you won't actually realize. But we're here to talk to you this morning about the changeover. Firstly, Mark, do you want to explain what the changeover even means?
Yeah. I'll give you an example. So you're selling a unit for $1 million. You're buying a house for $2.5 million. Your changeover, I'm not going to get clever on stamp duty and selling fee and all that, but let's just say it's 1.5. 1.5 is the mortgage you're going to take for 30 years. Your changeover is 1.5.
Yep. Is that it? So there's two. Okay. But here's the thing to think about. With what's happening in the market, your unit might be now selling at $950. And you were explaining, Mark, the pain people are going through, feeling like they've lost out on 50, 100 grand. If it's a freestanding home, it's even a little bit more. They just can't get over that. But they're still buying for less. So
I reckon before you've actually sold your property or signed with your agent, I reckon you've done the transaction in your head more than 1,000 times. I reckon you've thought about it, dreamt about it, stepped through it, played the movie back in your head 1,000 times. What does it look like with the house I'm going to buy? What does it look like when I'm going to sell? How much am I going to sell for? What's life going to be like in the new property? I reckon there's thousands of times you've played in your head, what if you got it wrong? And that's what we're facing at the moment. People are saying, well, I think I got it wrong. Let's start this. Let's start selling. And what happens when you don't get $1 million? You sort of shit the bed a little bit. And you go, yeah.
You and most of the other sales reps, or all of the other sales reps in the office have all said, you must be transacting in the same market. To all the prospective buyers looking around, younger people in the office, that's a big thing to take into consideration. I think, would you say most people do end up buying in the same market just because it's the way it works?
I think so.
But there is the select few that don't.
There is. And look, I think people try to time the market a little bit. They try to treat it like a stock. I'm going to sell now. I'm going to buy in a year or two when it's potentially a little bit low. We don't encourage that in our industry. Get in and out of the same property market all the time. But this changeover thing is a conversation I'm having all the time. Again, yesterday I had it many times. The most prolific one was a good friend of mine that I was talking to yesterday. And we've been talking about selling his unit for probably 10 years, 8 years, long time. He's been talking about getting into a house, long time. He's now got himself married. He's now made little babies. And he's now like, dude, I've got to do this. I've just got to do this. It's never been the right time. And he was a bit peeved that, he was thinking his house in this circumstance was his unit in this circumstance was 1-1 to 1-2. And I'm saying, look, don't worry. Adam is his name. Like, Adam, don't worry. You've actually timed the market well. He's like, no, mate, I've missed the market. I could have sold it for more 6 months ago. I said, that's crap. So what do you mean? I said, it is about the changeover. So what's the changeover? I said, mate, if you did this transaction, it would have been 1.5 on your mortgage. It's different now. The property that you were going to buy for 2.5 is corrected. Assume it's corrected to 2.2 or 2.3. I said, that means you're going to be buying for 200,000 or 300,000 less. For the maths, let's say 300,000 less. I said, even if you take 50 grand less for your unit, if it was ludicrous and you took even more, I said, now your mortgage is 1.25 instead of 1.5 for 30 years. And he's like, I never thought of it that way. I said, mate, if we did your property transaction, got a great price for your unit, you bought a house 6 months ago, you would have had a mortgage of 1.5. If we do it today, you're going to have a mortgage of 1.25. Selling the same unit, buying the same house. Isn't that better news? And he's like, shit, I never thought of it that way.
It's true. I know we're only 7 minutes in, Mark, but that's beautiful.
Sort of romantic. But I got to tell you another one that I said to him is I said, Ads, you've also got to consider that you will not get the loan. So what do you mean? I said, well, say you sell now, because he was like, let's sell it now and I'll wait for it to go down further. I said, cool. What about if you wait for it to go down further? It possibly goes down further, but you can't borrow the money. Is what do you mean? I said, are the banks going to get, if interest rates potentially go up 1, 2, 3, or 100 basis points, 100, 200, 1%, 0.5%, 1.5%, whatever it goes up, I said the rate of assessment's going to change for you getting the loan. You're already on the line with getting a loan. You may be pushed back off the line and you won't be able to get the loan. And he goes, shit, I never thought of that either. Everyone assumes at the moment we'll wait. We are hearing in our industry, we'll wait and see what happens if interest rates go up. We will wait and see what happens after the elections. We will wait and see where the market goes. I'm going to tell you, wait, and your potential will be waiting not for the market to change, but for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years for your income to go up because you can't afford a loan.
Yeah. But you were saying even buyers, having offers on property, 1 minute they're there, the next minute they're not, because that rate of assessment is changing. And the banks, review these things. And with the change, especially with the interest rates already moved, it is going to be a different sort of buying market.
This week, it's happened in 7 days. We had a client that was approved, and on a certain amount of money, they made a move to buy. They got their offer accepted. They exchanged contract. They went to get a bank valuation on the property. The brokers turned around and said, because the rates have changed, his approval was expired. He had to reapply. When he reapplied, he wasn't eligible under the new regime of rates. So the assessment's getting harder. Today's more about the changeover, but I've got to tell you guys, if you have to take a little bit less on your place, please look at your changeover. I think you'll find you will be better off. Take a little hit on yours, a little hit on the property that you're buying, and the changeover is going to be less money. Then when you combine that with interest rates and loans and the politics and all the stuff that's going on at the moment, just get into if you need to get into a house or if you need to get into a place, just do it.
And it's all relative, so your percentage shaved off on the apartment is just as much as the house, and you'll end up working out the numbers. They do sort of speak for themselves almost. So, and it's a different way to look at property, different way to look at buying, but certainly one to consider and take into account.
Yeah, but people don't have the crystal ball to. For instance, I've got a lady that was selling in freshwater and buying in Bellingen, a client, and she didn't have the grasp. She understood Freshie wasn't going to get her dream price, but she didn't understand that Bellingen's corrected. As a matter of fact, Bellingen has not corrected. So if you start looking at the data in these suburbs through RB data, they actually haven't pulled back. So she wasn't getting that changeover benefit that we could see. But what I was saying to her is all of the regional agents that I speak to regularly are now saying they're seeing change in those areas. But yeah, definitely Sydney was one of the fastest to correct, as opposed to parts of regional Australia. I know Newcastle's definitely sort of starting to compress a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, and very hard to in some ways when you're so emotionally, driven in these big financial changes, big decisions.
It is, and you're taking on, this changeover price, Billy, that we're talking about. You're taking that mortgage on or that changeover for 30 years. So whether you're taking on a changeover of 1.5 or 1.25, that's a big difference in repayments.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way to look at it. But be warned, don't be don't be put off by buying, and certainly don't wait without good reason, just because you're hearing it in the market.
Absolutely. If you can get in, get in. If you need to get in, get in. Do you know what I mean? If you need to invest or you need a bigger home for your family, don't procrastinate. Just get it done. And the catalyst will also be just getting your property onto the physical market, and then you'll find it'll actually just graduate and segue into what you want to happen. But you got to put that toe in the water.
Yeah, and there's a good way to do it. Do it slowly, ease into it. I think there's another side of the process where people are too scared to go all out straight away. So yeah, nothing wrong with dipping your toe in the water.
Nothing wrong. And you can always pull your property off the market. Don't feel embarrassed by that or defaced or whatever. You can always put it on. If it doesn't work out, pull it off. But people think it's sort of a one-way door, but it's not.
Interesting. One final question to sign off. Does putting your property on the market and pulling it off affect the sale price in future? As in, if you change your mind 6 months down the line?
Nah. I think 6 months is probably the threshold. I think a couple months later, on off, it's a bit of a mixed message, but 6 months you're all clear. 6 months or more. And most importantly, before we go, you ate your first meatballs yesterday in IKEA that you've ever had in your life. You've never eaten meatballs before in your life. This is a weird conversation. I find this very weird.
Well, what I found was more weird is that there's like a canteen cafeteria that reminded me of my primary school dinner days in the middle of this huge shopping centre, IKEA. I mean, it's massive.
So you've never been to IKEA before?
No, I've been to the small IKEA in Sydney, which didn't have meatballs. And yesterday I had the meatball experience.
What are you going to say about it?
Very good. I'm just very impressed. The Swedes have nailed it. Great shopping experience.
What'd you buy?
I got a shower screen squeegee. Clean the shower, and if it doesn't work in the shower, I'm going to use it on the car windscreen to help with those cold mornings coming in.
And is that all you bought?
Yeah, for me. Yeah, I was more like there for support,
Moral support.
Yeah.
Wow. So you went to IKEA on the other side of Sydney, bought meatballs and a squeegee.
It was a good day out. No phone reception, though. I don't know why. No phone reception.
In a store like that, you'd expect it'd be up live.
Yeah, one of those shops. It was, just absolutely massive. And to think that's not... Hey?
Who are you with? Who are you with? What phone provider?
Telstra. No phone reception.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And the amount
Really?
of customers they've got through the door. You know what? It's probably it's probably on purpose.
Yeah. Make you get lost in there and no phone reception.
Yeah. It's a bit like a casino with no windows. Same concept.
Yeah. But cool shop. Very cool shop.
Okay. Awesome. All right, legend. Well, congrats on your iCare experience, everyone. It's all about the changeover. Don't forget about that today when you're out shopping for property. Don't feel bad if you're taking a small chip if you're in Sydney, because it's all about that changeover.
Signing off. Have a good day.
Changeover, 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 changeover. See ya.
Ka-Ching Ka-Ching.